What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Lawrence, aka Law. Hope you guys had a good weekend. I actually just got back in from Arlington. I went and watched the Texas Rangers play the Athletics, and they also retired Adrian Beltre's jersey. So I got a cool little bobblehead here. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. They passed him out to the first 15,000 fans that showed up. So we got there a little bit early. Started drinking a few brews, you know how it goes, and just chill, man. We had a really good weekend, had a good time. Thank goodness we won. It was a little bit of a slow game, but we won. Again, this was Saturday night. We watched the game, so I'm recording this on Sunday. I'll be posting it up Monday, but nonetheless, guys, hope y'all had a good weekend. And again, welcome back to the channel. I'm excited to dive into this one. With this video, I'm going to be talking about running backs to draft in the first to third round. I'm going to break this little series up into some segments for you. I made my first video. It came out a little bit longer than I was hoping for. I know it's kind of a lot to take in, and I'm the type of guy I can really just start rambling on. So I'm going to try and hold myself to a certain kind of time frame here. But still giving you guys the content and information that will allow you to kind of have an idea going into the draft, what to be thinking about, what to be looking out for, things of that sort. So again, guys, I'm going to be breaking this series up, but I'm super excited. I think it's going to bring you guys a lot of information, and I really think that it could help you guys out. Again, this is just based off of my opinion, some things that I've read. Via social media, whatever the case may be, and of course, a lot of sports radio, sports talk, things of that sort. But I'm super excited, and let's go ahead and jump right into the video. All right, guys, so getting into it here, I'm sure you've heard it 100 times probably by now, but if you do have a top pick in this year's draft, the first 4 spots are pretty much given. It's going to be a running back, unless you're playing with people that really don't have an idea of what's going on, and maybe their favorite player is DeAndre Hopkins. Then they're making a crazy jump and drafting him top 2 or top 3, which isn't a bad pick, but you really need to solidify yourself some running backs. So if you can get you one of these first 4 guys, I mean, that's going to be great, and it's going to help your team out tremendously. These are all guys that are going to provide. I'm talking about Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, and Alvin Kamara. So year in and year out, these guys are doing their thing. They're putting up numbers. They all, except for Saquon, on more or less pretty good offenses. Sorry about that, Saquon, but you know what I mean. So for the most part, these guys are all on pretty good offenses, and they're going to put up those numbers that you're needing for your team, and obviously be your RB1 all the way through, barring injury. Knock on wood. So if I had one of those picks in this year's draft, I would be going with my guy Ezekiel Elliott. Not only because he plays for the Dallas Cowboys, but because all of the numbers kind of line up to be exactly what I would be looking for my RB1. Somebody who's going to get a lot of volume, somebody who's going to see passes and things like that out of the backfield, and people, a guy that has a set of skills that can take one to the house at any point, really. So what really shocked me this year for 2018 is Zeke. They really started showing him flashes in the passing game. His targets actually more than doubled from 2017 to 2018. So from 2017 through 2018, he was only targeted 39 and 38 times. In 2018 alone, he was targeted 95 times, guys. 95 times. Unreal. He had 77 receptions, went for 567 receiving yards, and 12 of those receptions actually came in week 13 against the Philadelphia Eagles, in which he got 79 yards just through the air. Unfortunately, I don't believe he scored a touchdown that game, but nonetheless, that's gonna really do it for you there. That's plenty of volume, plenty of work. Yeah, it may not have been his best game, but nonetheless, he put some points up on the board for you, and didn't really cost you much of anything. Last year he had 7 games with more than 100 rushing yards, so that's always good. You get around that 100-yard mark and you score a touchdown or whatever the case may be. That pretty much opens the door for you to to have a great game. Those are huge numbers for your team, and really are going to give you an edge moving forward into that weekend. He's really perfect for any format, whether I'm talking about a standard league, half-point PPR, or full-point PPR, which if there's some new guys out there, what that is standard is meaning you don't get any points for any receptions, and then of course half-point and full-point PPR, which is points per reception. It's either going to be half a point or actually a full point. So in my opinion, he's really good on any format. He's going to see the volume. And then on the other hand, if you're talking about PPR, which is what I play, the leagues that I play with, we do a full point PPR, which in my opinion is kind of the better way to go. It makes it a little bit more interesting, just because a single pass can really turn a game if your score is within 2 or 3 points of each other. One pass can really help you out. So again, he's really good for any format. He sees all the volume. He sees the targets through the air. And with Cooper being there, Amari Cooper being there, I really think that this offense is going to kind of hit the next level next year. So I really think that Ezekiel Elliott, in my opinion, would be the guy that I go with. Again, if I had the pick in this in the first 2 or 3 spots of the draft, Ezekiel Elliott would absolutely be my go-to guy here. So you can't go wrong, but then again, you can't go wrong with any of these guys. So if you got yourself a top 4 pick, go out and get you Saquon, go out and get you Zeke, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara. They're all going to do it for you. Just in my opinion, Ezekiel Elliott would be my go-to guy. Just makes the most sense to me. But getting more interesting, getting into the later part of the first round, it's going to be really interesting to kind of see how this whole running back situation plays out, because I'm doing mock drafts and I'm paying attention to how running backs are being drafted, and that later part of the first round into the early part of the second round, hell, even the whole second round, it gets a little bit tricky as far as running backs go, just because you can find just as good a value in the later part of that second round, third round type of point in the draft. So you can find kind of equal value in those 2 or 3, that late second, early third round, which makes, of course, like I said, the end of the first, early part of the second rounds for me just a little bit tricky. So if I'm drafting in the first round and you get 7th or 8th, maybe even 9th pick in the first round of the draft, I'm probably not going to be drafting anybody that late as in the running back position, except for Melvin Gordon. So right now his ADP is the first round, 7th pick of the first round, which ADP is average draft position. So again, he's getting drafted 7th pick on average of the first round. But like I said, I'm not picking anybody in the first round that's behind Melvin Gordon. So what I mean by that is, in the rankings here and kind of the average ADPs, David Johnson is going just ahead of Melvin Gordon. But right behind Melvin Gordon is Le'Veon Bell. I'm out. I'm staying away from it. He's been out of the league for over a year now. He's not showing up to OTAs, which I'm not saying the guy's going to be out of shape, but he's going to come back and they're going to expect him to be the RB1, and he could do it. It's too much risk for me, so I'm staying away. Other than that, James Conner is another guy. He's got a little bit of a committee over there. Would I draft him? Yes. I had him on my team last year, and I won the Super Bowl in that league, but he really helped me. Obviously, he was a little bit more of a sleeper pick, but I was able to pick him up in that league, and it really helped me out. And then Joe Mixon is another guy that I really don't have anything bad to say about him. It's just at this point in the draft, if Melvin Gordon is off the board, I'm not drafting another running back in the first round. I'm going to go for a wide receiver. So Melvin Gordon, I mean, he's just as consistent as they come. I also had him in the league that I won the Super Bowl. So think about that. I had Melvin Gordon and James Conner both on that team, which is, really helped me. And Damian Williams. Which is unbelievable. Don't know how I managed to pick up all those guys. But I was able to do it, play the waiver wire really good. And I actually traded for Davante Adams for Jared Cook. This guy had a team that he had no tight ends at all, and I can't remember what week it was, but Jared Cook had an unbelievable game. So I'm thinking, well, his stock is pretty high right now. I need another wide receiver, so I'm going to go ahead and just offer. I mean, hell, I don't know what the guy's going to say, right? So I included Jared Cook and, oh man, I can't remember who else it was. Some like RB3. I believe is what it was, for Davante Adams, and he actually did it. So I had James Conner, Damian Williams, Melvin Gordon, and Davante Adams all on that same team. So needless to say, I mean, that Super Bowl for me was kind of already in the books, But anyways, Melvin Gordon, man, he's just as consistent as they come. He finished in the top 12 8 times last season. Before actually getting into a minor injury that kind of lingered. Austin Eckler came in and showed flashes, but of course once Melvin Gordon got back to close to 100%, they put him back out there, and of course he does great. He does great all the time. He sees really great volume with the Chargers, man, and the Chargers are always right there with as one of the top offenses in the league. So that always helps. It helps that he provides in the pass game and he provides in the run game also. He saw more than 15 rushing attempts 8 times last season, and also saw 66 targets out of the backfield. So very balanced. He's going to give you both dynamics. So again, this guy is going to be a guy that's good for a standard league or a PPR league. So whichever you really can't go wrong, because he does see the volume both in the pass and in the run game. And he's just heavily involved in the whole scheme of their offense. All they really have over there receiver-wise is going to be Keenan Allen, who had a little bit of an off year last year. But Phillip Rivers, of course, getting a little bit older. Melvin Gordon, still at a really good age to be able to be that workhorse and be that go-to guy to receive all the carries and passes out of the backfield. So, again, guys, Melvin Gordon is a guy that I really, really like, and he is going to be the last guy. If Melvin Gordon gets to me at the 7th or 8th pick in the draft, I'm taking him. If he's gone by then, I'm taking a wide receiver. Michael Thomas, Davante Adams, Julio Jones. Give me one of those guys, and I'll make up for it in the later rounds. And I'm actually going to tell you here who I would be going after in round 2. So let's just say, for example, I do go wide receiver first round, because by that time I wasn't able to get a running back. I went wide receiver in the first round. We're moving on to round 2, where, of course, now you really need a running back. So any other position is kind of out the window, in my opinion, for me. So a guy that I'm looking to get in the 2nd round is going to be a guy that I love and a guy I wish we have seen more of, just because when he does play, he's incredible, guys. He's doing it all. Passes out of the backfield. He's showing off his speed. He's showing off of his elusiveness, and he's showing off those damn dreadlocks, baby. Dalvin Cook. Right now, he's going as the 5th pick in the second round of the draft. But this one was tough for me. And I'll tell you why in just a second. But this is going to be the guy that I'm picking, and if I can't get this guy in the second round, I'm going to tell you who I'm going to be picking later on to try and make up for not getting Dalvin. So first pick in the second round is going to be Dalvin Cook. Like I said, guys, he just really does it all. He's really involved in the whole scheme of the Viking offenses as well. So Melvin Gordon does really good for the Chargers. Dalvin Cook comes in and does that for his team also. He can bring all of those different styles. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can bust the long runs open in the rushing game also. So last year, after coming off of his injury, he actually came in and had 6 solid weeks within the last 8 weeks of the season. He came out and had a huge game against the Dolphins where he rushed for 136 yards, 19 attempts, and 2 touchdowns, guys. Great day. You're not going to argue that. And it's a guy that you're getting around 2 that can put up those type of numbers. But the big kicker with Dalvin Cook, and of course everybody's going to agree, if you haven't heard it from anybody else, you're definitely going to hear it from me. But Dalvin Cook is a guy who makes me a little bit nervous because I don't think he's even played 15 games in his 2 seasons in the NFL, guys. So he's a guy who's a little bit more injury prone, a little bit more of an injury risk, but he's a guy that can come in, and if he stays healthy, he can be that RB1 for your team. So if you can pair him up with a top wide receiver and go in and get Dalvin Cook, I think that's going to be a solid start to your draft. You're going to be moving in the right direction and getting all the key parts that you're going to need to eventually win the league. But again, he's going to be a guy that, if he can stay healthy, he can absolutely be that RB1. One of the big things for me also that I heard last year and I kept up with a little bit this year was the Vikings as an organization fired the offensive coordinator that was there. I don't remember the guy's name. I think it was John DeFilippo, who is now with the Jaguars. But John DeFilippo was fired as the Vikings offensive coordinator for allegedly not running the ball enough. And of course, this is when Dalvin is back now. Dalvin is having great games. He's showing that he can be the workhorse. Yet DeFilippo is wanting to pass the ball, put the ball in Kirk Cousins' hands, which is fine because, in my opinion, he's a fine quarterback. He may not be the best, but he can get the job done. And then, of course, you have Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs there. So I can see what his thought process was behind it, as far as, you got the weapons. You've paid Kirk Cousins too much damn money. So you've paid him. Now let him go to work for you and not put the ball in Dalvin Cook's hands so much, because he is coming off of an injury. So I see where he's coming from with it, but I heard it last year, and it's something that I kept up with until now, that he was fired for not running the ball enough. So that to me does nothing but tell me that they're going to be running the ball more, obviously. So it's going to be an offense that's and if they're not going to be running the ball more, it's absolutely going to be a more balanced attack. So I really like that. I really like hearing that type of news, and I really like Dalvin Cook and his dreadlock powers, man. I really think that he can bring it in for the team. So if I go, again, this is me personally, I'm going to be kind of breaking it down. If I go wide receiver first round because I have a late pick, so I get me a Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams. If I get one of those guys in the first round, my first target in the second round has got to be a running back without a doubt, and my first option is going to be Dalvin Cook. Now moving on to the second guy, and this is why I was so torn, because he is a guy, like I said, that I picked up late last year. He came in and was an absolute monster for me and helped me win my league, but it's going to be Damian Williams. So the big thing with him is, again, you really can't go wrong with either of these guys, but he's with one of the best offenses in the league right now. Lining up beside Patrick Mahomes. They actually just, not lost Tyreek Hill because he hasn't officially been, disciplined for you know, what he did allegedly to his wife and his kid and whatever the case may be. I don't want to get into all that, but he has not been officially, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word that I'm looking for, but he hasn't been disciplined for his actions with all that stuff. So if it does come out that he is going to be disciplined for X period of time, whatever the case may be, then I really like Damian Williams. So again, this is without Tyreek Hill, assuming that he doesn't, come at the early part of the season. I'm going Damian Williams, guys. Again, he's a part of one of the best offenses in the league. He took over in the last 3 weeks of the season after Hunt was released for punting that chick across the hallway of the hotel and and Spencer Ware's injury. But he was the RB2 in the last weeks of the season. He was rushing for 2 touchdowns in his debut against the Chargers, which is no joke of a defense. So for him to go out there and have that type of performance against a Chargers team who was as hot as could be, they were riding a win streak. Everything was good for the Chargers. That was going to be a big AFC game, and he went in there and absolutely took control of that game. And he was playing with the chip on his shoulder, man. A little bit short of a guy, but he runs with everything he's got. I'm telling you. But he can get it done through the air also. So another guy that's going to be good on both formats. Patrick Mahomes has a big arm on him, but he's smart enough to know that if he's got to check it down, he can check it down. And Damian Williams is going to be the guy who can go and get you, 10 yards a pass attempt, but also break one loose in the running game. But I really like him, guys. He's a guy that, and I'm riding his coattail a little bit because I did pick him up and I watched him play because I needed him to perform. Melvin Gordon went down, and I needed Damian Williams to come in and have a huge game, and he absolutely did. So these 2 choices, really easy for me. Dalvin Cook, Damian Williams. You really can't go wrong with either one of them. I think they're both going to provide you, of course, what you're looking for. RB1 upside, solid RB2, but of course we're leaning more towards RB1 just because, like I said, I went wide receiver first round, so you really going to want a guy who can put up solid numbers for you, on a weekly basis. So Damian Williams, the only thing and the only reason that he's my second pick in round 2 would be because he's got a little bit of a committee there. Carlos Hyde was just brought over from the Jaguars, so it's really hard to tell right now. I think Carlos Hyde's best years are kind of behind him now. But that's the only reason that Damian Williams is my number 2 in the second round and Dalvin Cook is my number 1. Now, they both come with a little bit of a risk. Dalvin Cook, injury prone. Damian Williams does have a little bit of a committee that he's going to be working with down there, which can be a little bit nerve-wracking. But I trust these guys to be my RB1. I trust these guys to stay on the field, be healthy, and just get the job done overall for my fantasy football team. So moving into the third round, where I think everything kind of gets a little bit more interesting, because I think that there's a few sleeper picks in the third round that can absolutely emerge as the RB1s. So again, I went wide receiver first round, and this is just me kind of talking through my head. I didn't actually draft. I'm just saying, for example, if this is how your draft is playing out, these are some guys that you should be looking for. So let's just say you get a late first round pick, you go wide receiver. Let's just say you go Julio Jones or Devontae Adams, whatever the case may be. You go into the second round, you look at a guy like Dalvin Cook, you look at a guy like Damian Williams, who can absolutely emerge as RB1s. But then you get to the third round where I'm going to be looking for another running back. I really want to try and solidify myself running backs early in my draft so that I don't have to worry about it when it gets closer to the middle, towards the end of the draft, because there's not much depth at the running back position like there is the wide receiver position. So again, round 3, I'm going in looking for another running back. And the first guy that I'm going to be looking for is a guy who, yet again, is going to be playing for one of the top offenses in the league. And I'm talking about my man, Marlon Mack. Marlon Mack. His ADP, average draft position right now, is the third round, 6th pick of the third round. Again, most importantly, he's playing for one of the best offenses in the league and running behind one of the top 3 offensive lines in the league that really emerged last season. I watched some film on him because, of course, I didn't. Living in Texas, you don't see all of the Colts games, so I had to go through and rewatch film. So breaking down not actual film because I can't get my hands on that stuff. So this is just kind of YouTube watching. But I don't like to watch highlights just because highlights are obviously all the highlights, and you see all the big time stuff, all the good flashy stuff, and you don't really see a lot of the lowlights. But again, Marlon Mack didn't really have many of those. He was a one-cut guy, pretty quick, not the biggest guy, but he runs very physical and he's very elusive. Anybody that's trying to wrap him up with arm tackles, just not happening. He's running through it, and he's getting you an extra 5 or 10 yards. He got a lot of work in the red zone from what I was noticing and what I've been reading. He got a lot of work in the red zone, 10 most rushing attempts in the red zone, which is unbelievable because, again, with the Colts having such a great offense, they're going to be seeing a lot of red zone attempts. And Marlon Mack, being the downhill runner that he is, he can easily score from inside the 20 and absolutely from 5 yards in, 10 yards in, whatever the case may be. Marlon Mack is absolutely a guy who's going to lower his shoulder and go get them a touchdown. The only other thing with Marlon Mack is, again, he's got a little bit of a committee with him. He's not really used much in the passing game, but again, similar to how Patrick Mahomes is, Andrew Luck is really smart also, so he's not going to really be bombing him down the field if the window just isn't there. So he's smart enough to dump it off to him. And Marlon Mack is a guy that can catch it. He's not going to be dropping wide open passes and things like that. He's very athletic, so he can absolutely catch the ball out of the backfield and go up and score you touchdowns, get you 5 or 10 more yards, and just keep on adding up points for your fantasy football team. But in my opinion, Marlon Mack, being that he's in a great offense, being that he's the solidified number 1 for their team, he can absolutely emerge as the RB1. Again, with them having such a great offense, that means they're getting down the field. That means way more red zone attempts. And if he had the 10th most red zone rushing attempts last year, he can absolutely match that this year. There's nothing that really shows me that he can't. Touchdowns are touchdowns, no matter how you draw them up, in my opinion. Touchdowns are going to win it for you, especially if you're talking about multiple a game. So if I get one rushing touchdown from the 5 and I get one from the 20, I'm totally okay with that, even if he's only got 60 rushing yards for the game. I'm totally fine with that. Another big thing with Marlon Mack that I kind of think flew under the radar a little bit is Marlon Mack was only 100 yards shy of rushing for 1,000 yards. So I will absolutely take that. I will absolutely take rushing for 1,000 yards. Being with one of the top offenses in the league, getting the 10th most red zone attempts, I'll take it. I love it, guys. And we're talking about a guy who's going in the 3rd round. I mean, you could go and get Marlon Mack as your RB1 in the 3rd round. I don't suggest that, but if you wanted to be ballsy like that, absolutely you could. I wouldn't bash you too much. I'd probably give you a little bit of a hard time, but if you can match this guy up with the Dalvin Cook or Damian Williams, absolutely. And even better if you can match him up with an Ezekiel Elliott, a Christian McCaffrey. Oh my goodness, man. Then at that point, your running back position is getting close to being set. You just need to add a little bit more depth to it. But I love Marlon Mack. I love the upside that he's going to be bringing you in the 3rd round. And I absolutely, again, believe he can emerge as that RB1 for your team. Another guy that I'm going to be targeting, if I can't get my hands on Marlon Mack, is going to be a guy that might catch a little bit of grief for this one, but Aaron Jones. ADP of the 3rd round, 10th pick of the 3rd round. Efficiency is really the only word that comes to my head when I think Aaron Jones. I was looking at some stats, and this man averaged 5.5 yards per carry last season. He was suspended a little bit, disciplined by the team. He was having to share the workload with Jamal Williams, which they shared it about 50-50. You could tell watching the film and things like that Aaron Jones was the more gifted of the two running backs. However, Mike McCarthy, for whatever reason, still wanted it to be 50-50 workload share between Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. So whether that's a discipline thing, something that Mike McCarthy had out for Aaron Jones, I can't really say much on that, but I don't understand why they were running a 50-50 workload. Jamal Williams, they're in the NFL. I'm not going to say these guys are bad running backs, because they're not, but you could absolutely tell Aaron Jones was the more dominant. He was the most consistent one that they had, and Aaron Rodgers really likes the guy too. And the weeks that he came back and was the starter, in those weeks he finished as the top 5 running back one week, the top 3 running back the next, the top 14, the top 16 in the next, and then the top 7th. Absolutely love the consistency there. Unbelievable. I mean, if I'm talking about getting Aaron Jones in the 3rd round to be my RB2, I'm not mad with that type of a stat line at all. I mean, he's going to be your running back 2. And again, if you can match him up with a guy like the Dalvin Cook or Damian Williams, or again, like I said, Christian McCaffrey, one of those top 4 guys, I mean, this is going to be a guy who can absolutely solidify yourself at the running back 2 position. But the biggest thing for me is Jamal Williams is still there. Again, they ran a 50-50 workload last year with Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. So it's a little bit skeptical, but Mike McCarthy is gone now. The Packers fired Mike McCarthy and are bringing in Matt LaFleur, who was with the Titans last year. And if you don't know this, the Titans were the number 7 rushing offense last season. Number 7. And, of course, now I know they had Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry had a phenomenal last few weeks of the season. Once Matt LaFleur realized, damn, we need to give Derrick Henry the ball more and stop BSing with Dion Lewis. They started handing the ball more to Derrick Henry, and he obviously emerged as one of the top backs in the last few weeks of last season. But nonetheless, I really love hearing that, and I love that I read that, and I love that I came across it, because it does nothing but raise my looking out and my love for Aaron Jones in this year's draft. Again, he's coming in and he's took a team that was not very good at offense, period. They struggled with Marcus Mariota throwing the football, things of that sort, but Matt LaFleur came in, turned the Titans around, and led them to be the number 7 rushing offense in the NFL last season. So again, I love that I saw that, and I love that he's going to be in that perfect situation. I mean, he's got Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, Devontae Adams, one of the top 2 best wide receivers in the league right now. So in my opinion, I really don't think that it'll take Matt LaFleur very long at all to realize that Aaron Jones is absolutely the most gifted running back in the little bit of a committee that they have right now. But guys, that's going to do it. These are going to be my top running backs, like I said, that I'm going to be drafting between the 1st and 3rd rounds. Again, this is going to be a video that I'm going to be breaking up into different segments. I'm hoping this one doesn't come out to be too terribly long. Like I said, my last video ran over a little bit longer than I would have liked, but as I start releasing more content and I start making more videos, I'll get more of an idea of how I want to approach filming them, and getting better as I go is basically what I'm saying. So guys, please stick around. If you enjoy the content, please slap a like on the video. And again, if you really like the content, I'm going to be coming out with it more consistently. As of right now, I'm going to be shooting for 2 videos a week. One kind of midweek, one towards the weekend, maybe Monday, absolute latest. if for whatever reason I'm out of town that weekend or I just don't get a chance to get in here and do some research and make videos and edit and things like that. So again, hopefully shooting for 2 weeks. For 2 videos a week, again, midweek, and then another one on the weekends. So I will be releasing more content, and if it's something that you enjoy, I was talking to one of my buddies, and he suggested maybe some type of a podcast, just because with it in video form, there's not a whole lot to see. Rather, there's more knowledge to take in whenever you're just listening to it. So he suggested maybe doing something along transitioning these into podcasts. So I'll keep you posted in the future. But if you really like the content and it's something you want to keep on hearing, please subscribe to the channel. I am going to stay consistent. This is something that I'm passionate about, something that I really enjoy doing, and it's something that I've really wanted to do for a long time. And I'm finally at a point in my life where I've got the time to be able to do it. I've got the time to do the research, get my facts right. That way I can come to you guys and really hope that I can help you guys get that edge in your fantasy, fantasy football leagues. And that's my main goal. Another big thing is I want to get to know you guys. I will be leaving my email in my bio, things like that. If anybody has any questions, you can reach me directly there, related to fantasy football or related to anything in general. I'm looking to build this channel, and I'm really looking forward to making the content, getting to know you guys, and just moving forward with everything. So again, if you like the content, subscribe to the channel. Again, the channel is called The Catch. Tell your family, tell your friends, anybody that you know that's interested in learning a little bit more about fantasy football. If you run into questions where you don't know who to start, things like that, I'm going to be releasing all that stuff, and you can just reach me directly. Like I said, I'm going to start leaving my email in my bio. You can reach me directly there. If you have any questions. But again, guys, thank y'all so much. Thank you for the support. Peace.